So Paul, here's the problem, right? In a nutshell, this car is lighter by 200 pounds.
Yeah.
But I'm heavier by 200.
I don't know. I'm getting up there. I had a hard time. I haven't put jeans on in a while. They didn't slip right on. I'm just saying.
Yep, you're looking at two identical Supras. No, they're not identical. They're actually very different. The one on my right, the white one, has the 6-cylinder, and the one on my left, that's the new 4-cylinder. And coming up in this episode of Hot or Not, we're gonna find out which one is faster in a drag race and around the track. But for that, I need to turn this video over to our man, Paul. So Paul, tell him about the cars.
So let's look under the hoods of these two new Supras, and it's pretty interesting to look at, of course. Let's start over here where we've got the 4-cylinder car. Now, I know what you're saying. I think the same thing. I always think of the Supra as being an inline-6 vehicle. It sort of always has been throughout its life cycle, you know, starting way back in the early 80s. But they've got a 4-cylinder variant, and of course what we know now is 4-cylinders are pretty powerful these days. You know, when you add direct injection and turbocharging, you can get pretty good horsepower levels. Now in Europe, there's a 4-cylinder that has 194 horsepower. Thankfully in the United States, we don't get that. We get the 2-liter turbo, it's a twin stroll, and it makes 255 horsepower and has 295 pound-feet of torque. So pretty cool. And the other thing going for it, almost jokingly, it almost has a frunk. You've got all this room now between the engine and the actual radiator in the car because you've got two less cylinders and basically the same engine, just a lot shorter. And so losing all that, you don't really get storage room, of course. But what you do get is a 200-pound weight savings. So that's a pretty big deal. And I know from my experience driving around racetracks that a couple 100 pounds is over a second of lap time, all other things being equal. Of course, they're not quite equal, are they? Because over here we've got the 6-cylinder variant, and this isn't the same car that we tested a few months ago. This is actually the 2021 version, which has an uprated engine. So it's the same capacity, 3-liter 6-cylinder, but now we're going up to 382 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque. So this is going to be a really interesting comparison between the two. Of course, it's a big price differential between the two vehicles. You know, we're not sure exactly what it is, but it's fairly substantial. And so we're going to see how these vehicles actually perform back to back and which one ends up being the better buy out of the two available Supras that you can get in the US now. Kind of fun to have choices. Let's see which one's the best. We're looking at the 2021 Supra with the 4-cylinder engine in it. It has Michelin Pilot Super Sports on it, 255s in the front, 275s in the rear. It's on an 18-inch wheel, and it uses a one-piece, this is kind of interesting, a one-piece sliding caliper. So that's not something you normally see these days in a performance car, where usually you'll see a 4-piston, you know, Brembo or some sort of equivalent, which is incidentally, of course, what's on the 6-cylinder version of the Supra. So that's the one maybe Achilles heel of this car, is we'll see if these front brakes are really up to the task. Now remember, the car is 200 pounds of weight less, so maybe this is just the right amount of brake, and you get to save the weight with the lighter caliper.
4-cylinder Supra, who would have thought it? Pretty good turn in there. Not the most powerful thing in the world. Same 8-speed automatic. Turns nicely into braking. Shift very readily. Taking multiple pulls of the lever to get it to downshift. So yeah, 4-cylinder Supra, kind of fun. I think maybe the altitude hurts it a bit more. You know, like that's what I'm feeling, because it doesn't have much of a pull towards the red line. It sort of flattens out. So that makes it a bit disappointing when you're trying to kind of run it around the track. And then the transmission, very reluctant to downshift. And so a lot of those corners, I was only getting the downshift after the third or fourth pull of the paddle. And it wasn't like I was wringing the engine out. It just didn't want to downshift.
105.35. We've got a lap time for the 4-cylinder, but we need to find out just what it feels like and what sort of engine performance this car is putting out. So Paul, 105.35. How does it feel?
It's a fun car to drive. It's well balanced. I think a lot of the aspects of this chassis, this BMW Toyota chassis, are quite good. The engine though and transmission are not particularly fun around a track, and the engine seems to have most of its power in the middle.
Yep.
And so you're trying to kind of get the horsepower out of it, and maybe it's a bit dependent on our altitude here, so it might be a bit better at sea level, but it doesn't like to rev very much, and then the transmission doesn't like to downshift very much. It's had a hard time kind of keeping it in its power band going around the track.
Well, we've got a time. Let's see if the 6-cylinder is faster. I mean, right now we're, what, over 4 seconds, you know, beyond the fastest car we took on this track, which was the Corvette. So I'm hoping the 6-cylinder gets much closer than that.
And it's the new improved 6-cylinder.
Yep.
So,
all right.
yeah.
All right. But first, let's drag race.
Oh, all right.
So how come Paul gets a 6-cylinder while I get this relatively small 4-cylinder? Well, it's his series. He's a race car driver, so I think it's only fair. Which of these two are going to be faster? I've got a secret weapon. I'm going to jump the line. No, I'm kidding. That's about the only way I'm going to win this drag race. So how can you tell the 4-cylinder from the 6-cylinder? Because they are virtually identical. Well, as far as I can tell, there's only one way, and it involves the phone. And it's not what you're thinking. Let me show you. So, 4-cylinder, check this out. Phone. Yep, does not fit. But on the 6-cylinder, the phone, look at that. A much bigger exhaust. So if you can measure it with your phone, you know you've got the 6-cylinder if you can stick the phone in the exhaust pipe. Told you, it wasn't what you thought. So leave your phone comments below, but there's an easier way to tell them apart, of course, and that is with the wheels. They are very different. And speaking of being very different, if you want to come out here to IMI Motorsports and test two almost identical cars, you can do that yourself just by visiting the link below. You can rent the track, or you can go over there and do some motocross. So Paul, here's the problem, right? In a nutshell, this car is lighter by 200 pounds.
Yeah.
But I'm heavier by 200.
I don't know. I'm getting up there. I had a hard time. I haven't put jeans on in a while. They didn't slip right on. I'm just saying.
All right, let's do this. Go. And we're off. And he's off. And he's way off.
Not even close. just as I suspected. Like that wasn't even close. So that sounds good maybe for me doing the lap around the track. Like we might have a shot here.
Told you, 200 pounds heavier.
That equals it all out.
Exactly.
Roman's whining about he weighs more than I do. You know, losers are like that. They often complain a lot. Well,
There you have it. If you want the faster one in a straight line, not surprisingly, go for the one that's got the old straight six and, you know, over 100 more horsepower.
So I drove the 2020 Supra last year and wasn't really happy with the handling of the car. It had a lot of snap oversteer issues and just wasn't really well balanced. And the 2021 car was super exciting because they completely revised the suspension for 2021, and that means they changed anti-roll bars, bump stops, spring rates, damping rates. But works, and it's a huge improvement, and what a relief. They kind of fixed what was really messed up with the 2020 vehicle with the 2021, and I would say the biggest change between the 2 years of the Supra are the suspension changes that they've done between the 2 model years. So highly recommend the 2021 car, and it certainly explains why I didn't like the 2020 car very much. Now, when we're looking at the 6-cylinder version of the 2021 Supra, it comes with a 19-inch wheel, still the same Michelin Pilot Super Sport, in the same size as far as the width goes, 255 in the front, 275 in the rear, but now on a 19-inch rim. And we also, you can see the difference in the brakes. You got those nice big red 4-piston calipers with larger diameter rotors as well. So that should give us a lot more stopping power. Remember, this car, 200 pounds more, it really needs it. I think what's going to be interesting is to see if the 4-cylinder car can get away with just having a 1-piston sliding caliper.
All right, we're in the 6-cylinder version of the new Supra. Lots more horsepower. Wow, that's a big difference. Woohoo! Yeah, now we're talking. Oh, this car's a lot more fun.
Wow, yeah. So if you want the faster car for track work, definitely don't get that one, get the white one. Oh, it's crackling and popping, Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah, so definitely much quicker.
Yeah.
Tell me about this car.
So, first of all, I don't feel a deficit with the 200 pounds.
Okay.
So it's actually maybe a little surprising given that the tire size, width is the same.
Yep.
But so I don't feel that. What I feel is the same sort of balance, but just, it doesn't feel like a little bump in power. Like, it's a big change, and it changes the whole character of the car. And again, I think it's maybe has something to do with that 4-cylinder having such a narrow power band. So it's not only less powerful, it's also hard to keep in the power. And with this one, it's got a broader power band and a lot more power. And I'm able to feather the throttle and drive it out. It also has a better rear differential than the 4-cylinder car, so I think that helps as well. So it just works. That's the bottom line, and you see it in the lap time.
Yeah, 2 seconds almost. It's significant.
That's huge.
On a tiny track like this.
Did not expect that.
Yeah.
I thought on our track,
yeah,
we'd maybe see a second difference, perhaps, and I was actually harboring the thought maybe that the 4-cylinder might actually even be faster around here. Not even close.
All right, so if it were my money, I would definitely spend the extra bucks on the straight 6. And if you're wondering what I think about the fact that this is both a Toyota and a BMW, I'm like, hey, get over it. It doesn't matter. It's great either way. I wonder what Paul would do.
It pains me to say this, Roman, and to all of you, but I agree with Roman here. I absolutely do. I think the 6-cylinder car surprisingly, I thought the 4-cylinder was going to put up a bigger fight. It didn't. It got demolished. Now maybe that had a bit to do with the upgrades that have come to the 6-cylinder also, but this car was actually pretty special around the track. I would put it in the same, you know, arena as the M2 BMW, which is one of our all-time favorites around here, and it got a lap time that was kind of in the ballpark as well. The 4-cylinder car, for me, the extra 200 pounds, I was very excited about losing all that weight and thinking it would give me more nimble handling, but it really wasn't the case. And so really all I was stuck with was a reluctant transmission with a narrow power band. And so this car is a little bit frustrating, where this thing was a blast. Bigger power band, same transmission, but it all just worked better with the 6-cylinder car.
So we have to answer the question, Paul, is the Toyota Supra hot or not? I'm gonna go with yes for the 6 and mildly so for the 4.
And Roman, I'm gonna go with white hot and yellow not.
I don't think yellow not or yellow hot is a thing, but there you have it, guys. As always, this is Roman. Check out tflcar.com for more news, views, and of course, Supra versus yellow hot not reviews. See you guys next time. Ciao.